and I'm joined. I'm always with Millie, but I think this is like one of the first times we're actually doing the podcast together. So, hi, Millie.
Hello. I'm still here, everyone.
Yeah. I just got done listening to the second part of Sunday for E2. Oh my god, the feels!
It's not at all. No ego strokes, no feels, no emotions. I don't know what you're talking about. Gellert was just some guy, you know.
It's like it's a hell of a way to start the day hearing about your in character death from a third party perspective. Very. But yeah, we went to Rome.
We did some Lord of the Rings things up in Scotland.
Warriors of Middle Earth.
Indeed.
Scotland.
In Scotland. One of the first sort of like big LARPs up there. My first time ever LARPing in Scotland. And it did not disappoint. It was so good.
I mean, straight off the bat, like we know the people that were running it were a lot of the crew that we interacted with at Northern Kingdoms. So we have a really good relationship with them, and we think they're great. So we felt pretty confident going in, right?
Yeah. Like it was so good, and like Ian and Emma have worked their like metaphorical asses off to deliver Rome, and like their crew was so good.
Also the location, right?
Oh my god, it was so beautiful.
Have you written down what it's called?
It's a Duncarron medieval village.
There we go. By the way, I am letting all of the running of the podcast completely slip at this stage. I am purely guessed. Do you know what I mean? I was like, Millie, send me your notes this morning. Like, I'm not gonna take responsibility for that.
It's fair until you realise
I'm the star now. Okay, I get to come on. Zero effort. It's going to be so nice. Yeah.
That's all right. You know, we're just going to sit and chat LARP for a little bit. I think it's going to be fine.
Listen to this back. That's your job.
Yeah.
So fantastic. It's a great time to be alive, everyone.
Well, it better be.
This castle was it's like a little wooden palisade fort, right? With medieval buildings in the middle. I don't know how historic it is, because it was used for different films, right?
Yeah, so it was built originally by somebody who was really sort of passionate about keeping medieval things alive, and then it became a very popular filming site. So they kind of reinforced it and made it more long lasting and stuff like that. But oh my god, like if I'm going to put a little link in our little link dump that we do now. But there's basically, imagine, how tall would you say the walls were? Like 20 foot, 30 foot?
Yeah, big.
30 foot high walls, which you can walk up and walk along.
Yeah, like literal friggin' battlements, right? Like, at certain points in the event, we took up benches and an entire bar up onto the battlements because there was so much room up there, looking down onto like the approaches coming into the fort and stuff. The site was amazing. There are some issues with the site, which are mainly the ground is really, really hard. It feels like they probably leveled the site when they were building it down to bedrock. So there's a lot of kind of there's no, like, you can't put into dirt with the tent pegs. I think that's something that can be worked on, and there are solutions to that. Also, it's in Scotland, which is miles away if you live in Milton Keynes, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, our slogs up to Glasgow, like, because you can just fly if you've got minimal kit, right?
Yeah.
But we've got bell tents. You had all of your chain and your armor and all of this stuff. There's no way you're getting that on it. Also, try and explain LARP weapons to airport security.
Yeah, I stayed up. I went up on the Thursday and I stayed in Dumfries. Absolutely fell in love with Scotland, by the way. It was amazing. But yeah, it was such a pretty location. I think one of the closest areas we have to the kind of New Zealand Lord of the Rings vibe, right? Like, it's mountainous, all of that stuff. Maybe Wales would be a good place as well, but yeah, very, very impressed. How did you find the character creation stuff?
So I'll be honest. By the time the event came around, I'd completely forgotten about all of my character, but it was great. Like we got a Google form, we filled it out. You sort of had like a drop down list of the skills you wanted to take. I decided to be a cheeky little elf, and my name was Daedrafel, which I completely forgot, and we'll get into that a little bit later about elves and all of their ridiculously long names.
Me, Ellie, and Callum were like, we're gonna be Rohirrim, which is, I mean, there wasn't a shortage of Rohirrim and there were like 2 or 3 from Gondor. You know, like everyone knows who the real cool army is. But Ellie got to work doing all that stuff, and basically my entire kit was down to Ellie giving me stuff because she wanted us to all look good and look the same, and it was awesome. But I decided,
guys did look so good.
It was, for like, not to blow our own trumpet, outrageously good. This is probably our best kit we've ever worn. It was so good. Yeah. The problem is, I decided when it came to setting up a character, I did it in a rush, and therefore I googled Rohirrim name generator, and just started clicking the button, and I saw a name, and I didn't twig. I called myself Aomir, which is actually the fucking one of the main characters in Lord of the Rings, and it's like, why didn't I pick up on that? Like,
you chose Carl Urban's character in Lord of the Rings.
Because people often mistake me for Carl Urban. It's a very easy thing to do, and I just added more fire to that flame, you know. So it's like showing up to like a crime story and being like, I'm Batman. It's you know, it's what an idiot. The interesting thing was, okay, what did you get for your, because we decided that we would send off and just let them write our characters, which we never done before, but the Ian especially writing it is awesome, and the rest of the guys, okay, just let them do it. There's a public, I don't know what the wording was, it was like a public desire and a secret desire. Did you what was yours? Did you?
So we didn't have that option, like, or at least not that I paid heed to, but like my character was pretty simple. Like I did the most research into backstories when it came to this character. Because I was like, fuck, it's Lord of the Rings, you've got to do your research, right?
Yeah, I did as well, but turns out quite a lot of lore for Lord of the Rings.
There's so much.
There's quite a lot of it. Even trying to narrow it down to your extremely specific niche is books worth of fucking information about it. Jesus.
Yeah, it's mental. But my character was from Lindar, which is one of the Elven territories. She was a member of the royal household, Teleri. I think that's what they called in Tutlaw. And basically, like, she had way too wild a spirit. She was 120 years old, so her family kind of were like, go, get out of the house before you destroy it, kind of thing. And that was my basic house like thing, is I was going to go away, stay for a while.
Naughty elf.
I did play a very naughty elf.
I like how at the start of the weekend you were like, this is my serious character. This is my serious LARP. And it was like, you lasted all of 30 seconds before you were just milling it up, basically.
But I didn't steal anyone's weapons this time.
You're growing as a person, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
This is like, I will hopefully go to the next one, but if I don't, whatever. But what I'm about to say is deeply critical to my character. And it's not massively public knowledge, but it's such a good story. I'm gonna have to, because it's so good. It's so good that I am going to risk players maybe unfairly. Let me tell the story, okay? Like, it's so my
I'm
public
so ready
one.
For this.
My public one was my motivation was to do an act of great charity.
Okay.
Okay. And then my secret one was that I always wanted to know what it felt like killing something innocent.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you square that circle, okay?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So,
oh my God. I can't.
So, yeah.
Well, it's okay because we all know that there is no innocence in Lord of the Rings or any of our close friends.
I worry about the reaction to this episode. Like,
It's
I've
gonna
told
be
my
fine.
friends who aren't LARPers about my weekend, and they are disgusted. Like, absolutely disgusted. Like, I'll never forgive you was one of the things that someone said.
Oh my God.
I know.
I can't wait to delve into what you did.
It's so bad. So bad.
Right. So we've talked about the monstrous road trip that you had up to the. I turned up. I left for Glasgow at 1:00 in the morning on Friday.
It was sick.
I know, it was horrible. I finished work. I was giving Nick, Dr. Portal from Northern Kingdoms, a lift up. So he came and met me at work. We drove up together. We got there about 4:00 in the afternoon, just as you guys had arrived, I think. And as you were saying,
we did a lot of we were there hanging around for a while. Kind of before you got there. I did a bit of shoveling, which I don't usually do.
Where did you do the shoveling?
Up on the hill, because there was like a dip, and everyone that drove up was kind of bottoming out. So I was like, there's this giant pile of gravel. I'll just pour that into the holes and bed it down. No, I'm not very good, but it was. This is like I was knackered, absolutely exhausted after shoveling this stuff. So anyway, sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're fine. But we should talk about who out of our friendship group was there, because it was a good group.
Yeah, lovely.
Because you had you and your trio, so you, Callum, Ellie, your Rohirrim. We then had Gondorian, so we had Nick as a Gondorian, and we had Jim from the Blind Eye Empire as another Gondorian.
Okay, Nick's kit was literally, the kind of the condom penis men that guard Gondor in the heavy armor. That is literally the armor, and. Every time I looked at Nick, I would just chuckle because he looked so happy in there. Yeah. And he did the, what's that actor's name that does
Matt Berry.
Matt Berry.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Matt Berry Gondorian is one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen.
Good.
I loved it. So good.
For the whole sort of 7-hour road trip that we had, all we were doing was going, he is the most devious bastard in Minas Tirith.
For Gondor. It does. Oh, I love it.
But yeah, so we had that guy, and then Paige and I were two little elves. So we had like a good mix of races and various different lineages. It was really good.
Oh my God, the new players.
Oh my God, yes.
So obviously something like Lord of the Rings attracts a lot of attention, and it was like there was like a show of hands to how many people here are new players, and it was like maybe 40%, maybe 50%.
Yeah,
it was a lot. I was going to say
just under half. Right?
Yeah, it's around that, right?
Yeah.
But the kit quality was
it's insane.
I don't know. I hate to scare all you veteran LARPers out there, but there's a new vibe coming in, and they are they can role play. Their kit's impeccable. They're really good with like safety stuff. Be scared. Yeah. They're better than us. We're out evolved at this stage.
But there was someone that came over from the US, a pair of people that came from Ukraine, right?
I don't know whether they were still in Ukraine, but yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously we had James and Alex. James and Alex that we know from Northern Kingdoms. Although you wouldn't know that James was at Rome because you could not recognise James.
So I'm just picturing it in my head right now. Think like from the ground up, it's like stocky boots leading up to like baggy trousers, so it hides the height, with this big lovely tunic and a lot of armor on the top, and this fantastic like beard and eyebrows and the hat. I'm looking at a fucking dwarf. It's holding a giant hammer. Because he'd got a giant hammer, it also helped with the scale because it was so over the top big. More than that, his physical work was incredible. Like, the way he moved as this dwarf was like... James is one of the guys that plays Direwil, who's a Witcher at Northern Kingdoms. And when you interact with someone so often as that character, you're like, okay, cool, this is what they do. But to see James's adaptation to being the dwarf was crazy insane. Impressive. Like, way up there with some of the most impressive things I think I've seen in that way, you know? And
doing a phenomenal Welsh accent. Like, it was so good.
At one stage when we were off in the woods later on, I'll say it now, you stood, because you're quite tall, and you were standing on a slightly higher thing than he was, and he was in like a little dip and a hole, and I looked over and my brain was like, that's an elf talking to a dwarf. And I just I could, like, I was laughing because I couldn't contain how happy I was looking at it.
I loved interacting with James this whole event because, like, we just played into the whole dwarf versus elf thing. And we'll talk about all the fucking shenanigans that we got up to. But yeah, so Alex, who also plays Northern Kingdoms, was with James. He was playing like a traditional, like, emo gothic elf called Blackbird. He also had a proper, like, elven name, but I can't remember it. It took me a day and a half to even remember my own name, and I had to go and check. It was so bad. But yeah, so we get all the camps set up. You guys really struggled to get your because, like we said earlier, into the bedrock, like, your tent pegs down.
Oh my god, I bought new tent pegs and was really pleased with myself and have just mashed them. They are like the strong ones. They're like, you know, no.
Not so strong anymore.
Turns out if you just smash them into rock, it doesn't tend to go so well. So yeah. But
oh dear,
it's fine.
Yeah,
it was totally my bad. But oh my god, my tent throughout the weekend was so funny. It was like it constantly looked like it was about to collapse, and then never quite did. Like, and I'm in it sleeping, and oh my goodness, like I was like, I kind of accepted it. I was like, what's the worst thing that could happen right now? I was like,
today is the day I get smothered by tarpaulin.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was like, I'm probably good. I would wake up, right?
Yeah, I think you would. But because you guys struggled so much, I did a little recce. I found a tiny little patch of grass and set up mine, Nick's and Paige's home for the weekend, which was really nice. We had a nice little spot, actually, because there were so many buildings within the fort that we didn't actually use that weekend. Like what's it called, like a longhouse?
Yeah, like it was almost like a mead hall, right?
Oh,
like,
it was so beautiful.
Like very much, you know. Do you see Midsummer?
Yeah,
very Midsummer vibes.
Yeah. And then there was like another little meeting room. There was a forge, and there was a leatherworking workshop, which we'll get into a little bit. But they were all padded out with proper qualified crew that were actually there that whole weekend. It was mental.
I actually didn't interact or learn any skills, and that is definitely one thing I regret about the weekend, is not taking advantage of having like really talented, good people teaching us really good skills.
Right. But yeah, so we start time in, or just before time in, with like a big safety brief. With Ian in the middle of our they had like a list, so they had a big sort of fighting ring, just talking through the weekend and answering any questions that anyone had, which, seeing as there were so many new players, there were a lot of questions.
I think it was good though. You can definitely, like, we'll probably mention this at other points, but like, it's their first event, so there were like tiny little teething problems, and I'm only mentioning this because it's like, I think that's something that we should always understand. When someone's doing something for the first time, it's going to have tiny little like, it's not as smooth as it could be.
Oh yeah.
But how did the crew were amazing at reacting to everything. They constantly had check-in meetings and all the stuff. So if it is a little rough at times, it's because it's their first event, and I think they're only going to improve and get better. You know.
Oh my god, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so we meet in the Q&A. We meet Ian. Ian sort of puts a face to a name. We meet all of our permanent NPCs. So we have NPCs that live within the fort, essentially. So there's hobbits. Do you want to talk about the hobbits, Dave?
No.
But yeah, so there's some really good hobbits played by Chelly, who we know from Northern Kingdoms. And I'm going to say Danny. I'm very sorry if I got your OC name wrong. But they were such good hobbits. Like, so beautiful, so wonderful,
so lovely and smiley and innocent.
So innocent. And then we had some Dunedain Rangers as other NPCs. And Ian was playing the captain of the fort himself, which was really good. And then do the Q&A, lots of questions. The thing that I really liked is that seasoned players were asking questions that the new players didn't really understand to ask, if that makes sense.
But it also wasn't done in like a, well, actually, type way. Yeah. It was done in just a really nice, positive group atmosphere. Yeah. It was really nice.
Really nice.
Also, that sense of kind of trust and people giving people the benefit of the doubt, like that kind of came along quite quickly, that we're here to have a really good time and we're going to just play this game together. So I think what was really good about the brief was the vibe.
Oh my god, yes.
That's one thing that I think is hard to summarize and capture, but like I think like everyone was excited and everyone wanted to have a good game and let other people have a good game.
And it created such a like safe space. So everybody knew that they were, you know, safe and trusted with people. We had the traffic light system as for like a green, yellow, red for
red
when
light,
you're happy
red
with
light.
red. For when you're happy with something and when you're not happy. So everything was great.
Yeah.
That finishes, and then we have a little bit of a chill. We have a soft time in, and then Ian and his entire band of Dunedain Rangers go up the 30-foot high battlements and deliver a welcome address to the fort.
I loved how it was like everyone's like eyeing each other up because there's all these like disparate groups and like different, like distinctly the different, like there were elves, dwarves, like Rohirrim, Gondor, Rangers, Dunedain. It was like a really cool mix, and like the body language on the different characters was really fun to watch, you know.
Yeah. And so Ian's giving this really impressive speech, and then there's one of the NPCs is a sort of a drunk ranger who does the whole stereotypical, you call these guys Dunedain Rangers, they can't even look after themselves and all this stuff.
Yeah, it was like, this is what you call, these are what you call heroes or whatever, and it's like, all right, pal, I haven't even, you know, give me a chance. I haven't done anything wrong yet.
No, exactly. Which we would never do anything wrong at all. So yeah, and then this is something that I really like and I think should be implemented with like pretty much all smaller LARPs, is that because we were put in a position of being like rookie rangers, we then started like national training basically as like the most comparative, I think, to Empire, where we went to the list. So it was like a big square, wooden square in the yard, and we had sword fighting drills. It's the lists.
The lists?
Yeah.
Like, you write down a list?
So it was, I think it's something that it was the lists is like a fighting area, I think. Like in medieval law, it's you'd go to the lists and it would be like lists of all of the knights that were fighting. The
fighty people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. But yeah, so we did sword drills. One of the NPCs I recognised as I believe they're a stunt performer in the film industry. So they knew their stuff. Like, they were putting people through drills with combat, with stage combat fighting. It was really good. Watching all of the really timid new time LARPers get their swords out and then actually have a really good time learning and becoming confident, fighting safely.
It's the same thing that I get from the new player skirmish at Empire.
Yeah.
I'm like a keen vampire, like watching people, because you buy a weapon and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna be hit by this weapon or our weapon, and then I'm gonna have to hit someone else. And most people aren't very comfortable with that. But once they realize, oh, it doesn't hurt, and I'm not hurting the other person, and to see their confidence grow, oh my god, it makes, like, I'm like the Grinch, you know, it makes my heart grow 10 times bigger or whatever every time I see it.
Yeah, exactly. And then partway through that, an elven NPC comes in, and they come and teach the archers archery. So we take all of the seasoned archers, the not so seasoned archers, and we go up to an actual archery range, and mess around with bows for a little bit. And again, that NPC used to teach archery OC, so really safe, really good tuition. It's just a very wholesome environment.
Hard skills, they're big and clever.
Yeah, and instantly that really helps build the world of the fort. Which is really nice, and it gives me a chance to be like, because Ellie, obviously a very experienced archer, very good archer, was with the more sort of experienced lot, and I went with the beginners because I just wanted a bit of a refresh. They were doing like formation archery lines, you know, like kind of like in Zulu, where the riflemen would go on their knees and then they'd have 2 ranks.
Good lord.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing.
Is it effective?
It seemed to be. Like they had 8 people in 2 lines, and they had like a whole sort of knock loose wee kind of thing going.
Yeah, I don't know. Kneeling as an archer is scary.
Yeah. But
cool. Looks cool though.
It looked amazing, but it gave me a really good chance to start the 8 human archers where 1 elven archer would be enough. Typical. And it was like, apparently there was somebody that had that experience as one of their first RP experiences, and they were like, oh, this is what LARP is about. And I was like, yes.
Mild conflict.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about a little bit of, you know, human hatred from the elvens. It's all fine.
I love hating elf bullshit in every system, every game, every fucking fictional universe. Fuck elf bullshit. I love it. It's so good.
It's just the air of superiority that you get as soon as you put those elf ears on.
The amount of times you just turned and said something like, basically, elves are awesome and everyone else is shit to me. And I just like stared back at you like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong, Mo. But yeah, so we did that. We had the 2 hobbits, so that was the more combat orientated. The 2 hobbits were in charge of like the hospital and garden area.
Yes, they were. They also provided snacks and hot drinks, and generally just a positive time out place for people.
It was a really nice time out place. But yeah, so they did a little brief for the non-coms and the medics, and taught all of the medical role play and stuff like that. And it really just plonked you right in the center. Like, it created this whole environment that we were a functioning fort. And then you had the full-time leather worker just in the corner, hammering away, doing all of their like stuff. The blacksmith was nowhere to be seen yet. Which was a bit, everyone was like, where are they?
Yeah, that's what was going on.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad someone pays attention. I was walking around. I was still trying to find my character because I was like, For obvious reasons, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, so I was kind of tired, and I was like, oh, I'll just be like stoic and kind of grumpy as a character thing. I can't really keep that up for too long, so I did shift over the weekend. But that was I was trying to be Sean Bean and James. That's what I was trying to be, a mix between the two of them. And that's, you can judge that on my performance, but not very good. I
think it paid off eventually.
God. But yeah, then there was like, oh, the blacksmith's not here. We should go and find them. And it's like, oh, I've LARPed before. Yes, I will go and help you find the blacksmith. He must have got lost. Yeah, so we head out, right? I've got my bow because I need to practice before taking over the Navarchers when I get back to Empire. I was like, had my arrow ready, and I'd done some practicing. Ellie showed me some pointers because she's very good, and I'm rubbish. And I was kind of hype. It was good, right? Did you go on that one?
I did not.
Oh.
No, because I got way too preoccupied in ridiculing the human archers.
Oh, okay. I'll just tell the story then. I was like, oh
Please
man,
do.
I'm blowing it up. I should let Millie tell this. And it's, anyway.
No. It's almost like we do a podcast and we talk about what we do.
Almost.
Almost.
So we head out of the fort, and there's a whole bunch of different warriors, and everyone's kind of talking about like where they're from and blah blah blah. We walk around, and then up on the path ahead is bandits, and there is our blacksmith. And like everyone that's been LARPing knows how this goes. So we approach, the talkative characters start talking to the bandits while everybody else starts to move round to the sides to try and flank the opposition. And then it all kicks off and we all kill each other. Classic. So yeah, we brutally murdered the bandits. And this was the start of the people surrendering should they be killed or not. Like, this was this kind of start of that kind of idea, which is kind of dark, right? But I think there was one of the Gondorians, Jim. I think he executed one of the kind of prisoners or whatever, but it was like, what are we supposed to do with them type thing. They're bad people. They're only surrendered because they got stabbed or something. Whatever, I don't know. I was trying to look stoic in the background with my bow, so there's photographers about. I need to look cool, right? Yeah,
that is true. Actually, talking about on the photographer side of things, Frankie stepped in as the event photographer, I think like 12 hours before the event started.
I'm a huge fan of Frankie. She did the
I am a huge fan of Frankie.
Editing for the Can't Craft, Won't Craft video that's on our
really?
YouTube. Yeah, exactly. Check out our YouTube channel. It's really fun. It's basically me, Ellie, and Ian making a tunic. But she edited that, and it's really, really nice. So I was like, as soon as she showed up, I was like, well, we're going to get some pretty sweet photos out of this, aren't we?
Yeah, we are safe.
Yeah. She did a great job throughout the weekend. But yeah, so basically we get the blacksmith, we take him back up to the fort. That was the kind of start of there's more like plot stuff where there's these wild men, and they are kind of raiding, and they're being more bold in the area.
Yeah, and then there's talk of like increased orc activity in the woods and stuff like that. So like there's a murmur around the camp, and it's pretty chill. Everything's really nice. There's a load of like scouting missions that go out. There's like people that go out every sort of, I'd say 10-15 minutes or so. So it's just like gives everybody a nice little soft thing. I didn't go out on any of those because if there was a lot of keen and limited spaces, so I was like, I'll take a step back. I don't need to go out in the woods. I can just chill in camp.
Me and you are very similar at doing that. You need to do it less, for sure. For sure.
All right.
Yeah.
I did get better at it over the course of the weekend, but it was like one of those things where if you have met me in person, I'm built like a rugby player. I do not sprint.
The most beautiful, delicate rugby player there is.
Exactly. But when you hear one of the NPCs shouting, "Scouting mission going out," and you see a wave of very fast sprinters going towards the gate, and you're just there like, that's all right. I'm not built for that. Because I can't keep up, so I'll just chill.
I think this is like a kind of a thing in lots of different LARP systems, and they approach it in different ways. One thing, the problem is there's lots of solutions, and some of them are a little immersion breaking, but inclusivity is really important, and we don't all react the same way to the same stimulus, if that makes sense, right? Like, so I don't know. I don't know what the right answer to this is. I think sometimes who's been out, who hasn't been out, and then trying to work out the numbers of people. But even then, it's still kind of like talking in front of a large group. So I don't know.
They did again. It's like we said earlier, right? It's like teething issues.
Oh yeah. By the way, they were aware of this and really tried to fix it. This isn't like The reason why I'm talking about it is because it's just an interesting thing in LARP.
I do find it really fascinating because like if you have a character that you think is like and you've built as like the hero type that is the ranger that goes out everywhere and is really loyal, then it makes sense for you to go out on every encounter, right? And then you forget OC that you're doing all that. But either way, in the mechanics of the game, there is this rest system built in. So feasibly in future events, they could be a bit more strict in that, and be like, no, you've been on this many encounters today, you need to rest. Yeah. Otherwise, your hit points you won't have as many hit points tomorrow because you will be exhausted, like a level of exhaustion in D&D, right?
Yeah, I think there's like a certain level of responsibility for the players, but I actually don't put. I think it's a lot of different factors. So
it's not a bad thing. It's just a thing.
No,
right?
Not at all. Not at all. But I also think like I did. I literally walked up to one of the orgs and I was like, hey, just let you know, like a couple of people haven't been on many events because of this, and they immediately were like, okay, cool, let's make that better. They're very responsive in how they take their stuff. So I quite like talking to game orgs, having a quick aside and be like, this is really good. This is needs like a tiny bit of improvement, but you're doing a fantastic job, because the crew don't often get a huge amount of feedback by the nature of their interactions with the players.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think it's good to just be like, yo, good job on this,
And it was really good having the live-in NPCs, right? Because you could literally just go, you knew who to go to, you could go there instantly, and have your issues all dealt with, like any issues, but I mean, like even like if they were little niggles. Yeah. But anyway, I finally make it out on a little scout mission, and there are some orcs in the woods, so we're like, oh my god. Everybody's going out. It's our first proper bit of like fighting because there's a few orcs, and we kill them all because who wouldn't? They're orcs.
You're heroes.
Yeah, we're heroes. God damn it! And we notice that wounded in the bottom of the sort of pile of orc bodies is a human informant.
What?
Dum dum dum. Yeah, exactly. So
orcs and men working together.
Ah, zut alors. So exactly. So. Oh, it should have been a French elf.
No.
So we bring them back to camp, and this I actually really loved this bit, is where we get the first we get all the players together again. We're by the list, so big wooden square, really good meeting place. Get them all together and we debate the fate of this person, right? And it was really weird. just watching
anyone that's played D&D, and you've got a paladin and like a less virtuous character in the party, there is like the horror moral conundrum of what do we do with the guilty person when there's no law around.
Yeah, exactly.
We know they're guilty. If we release them, they might go and tell the bad people about our defenses and information on numbers and all that stuff, and actually put ourselves at risk. So what do you do with this person? Do you let them go? Do you kill them? Do you cut bits off them? Or do you throw them in jail? Like, these are all very valid options in the eyes of players.
So there was a big group of people that were like, let's torture him. One of the biggest people that were speaking out about that was I think they were a dwarf. I'm sorry if I get it wrong. Called O'Shea. Did you interact with O'Shea much over the weekend?
Okay, don't talk to me about names. That's just not.
So the person that played O'Shea was the person that did the Irish accent.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. He was great.
And just would not shut up.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was a great example of a player that was like, I'm playing a very big character, and like the like kind of, oh no, this is too much, and I'm like, fuck no, dude. Like, if you're gonna do it, just lean into it, and he did that, and it was very funny. Yeah,
it was very much a case of this person just does not know when to shut the fuck up. It was like, have you got any brothers or sisters? And you're just there like, this is not that time.
Why don't you take his legs? They don't need their legs.
So true. Yes. But yeah, so there's a big thing. Basically, we know that we're either going to kill him or torture him, and there are
the only two options there, aren't there, really?
Yeah, exactly right. And there are two little elves in the corner, Paige and I, who are advocating to keep him alive, untortured and unscathed. I know, indeed. So we managed to get everybody round to the idea of not torturing, being better than the orcs and the bandits, and just imprisoning him. Everybody takes a vote, which is really nice because it's like player participation, right? It's not just a group of people deciding the fate of everybody.
Agreed.
And we throw him in the actual icy dungeon.
There's a jail.
There is a jail.
To be fair, I only went in that jail once, and that was before time in. So
yeah, I didn't go in there. I tried to go in there, but didn't work.
Oh, I'm sure I'll see it eventually.
Probably. We can but hope. But yeah, so he gets imprisoned. They set up prisoner guard duty. Like, it's so fucking cool, the life in this fort that gets established. Like, people will volunteer to watch a shut door.
Standing on the battlements with a bow dressed as Rohirrim, with my homies dressed as Rohirrim, and we all look baller. That's achieve of life, in my opinion. It was like,
it's really good.
So cool. Cool.
But yeah, so he's imprisoned, and then everything kind of just chills out in the camp. As is the way with most LARPs now, is that Friday is kind of quite chill.
I got a really early night.
You did.
I'm not Ian, okay? I don't know. I used to be a party boy, and now I like my personal time in my tent with my audiobook. I like a good long night's sleep. Who am I? What have I become?
You're old now. But my favourite thing, right, is the way the place that you pitched your tent was basically right in the centre of the entire fort. Literally,
it was right in the middle, next to the bar, next to where everyone sang songs, next to where people were gossiping, and people kept tripping over my tent, and it was like, my tent literally can't take that. And I'm sat there like a weirdo sitting there. But weirdly, this is kind of an old conversation. I had a lovely time listening to the ambience. So right next to the camp, they did a performance of I have no idea who they were, by the way, because I just heard it, but there was like a man and a woman. They did a performance, and someone had a lute, or not a lute. What's it called?
This is it was like a hand harp, but this is after the big.
Do you want to do the big thing first? Sorry,
so no, it's fine. I mean, you were sleeping, so you missed this bit. But as it was getting dark, the captain goes atop the battlements once more. With this, it was so dramatic because the sunset was kind of happening behind him, right?
Yeah, it was like it was late because like living in the northern hemisphere, it's like it doesn't get actually dark until maybe 11, you know.
Yeah, so it was like it was really late. It was close to everybody starting to go to bed, and it was all of the rangers went up. They were all sort of stationed at points of like up the stairs, so it all looked so fucking cinematic. They were all silhouetted. We're all getting this incredible speech from Ian's character saying like, I'm so proud of you, you didn't kill the human. Like, that shows real emotional growth, my guy. in more dramatic and metaphorical language than that. But yeah, so he's like, you chose the path of mercy. I am so proud of you. You are well on your way to becoming a Dunedain Ranger. And behind him, we notice another silhouette. Le gasp. And that silhouette has got a sword drawn and stabs our dear captain right in the back. And then the gates get bashed open. God. And a band of orcs break into the fort.
He died.
Oh, he really did die. So Paige is one of the only medics for that entire weekend. So they sprint off. Like, they go up the stairs at quite a pace. And I'm just like left in the center of the fort as all this carnage and stuff is going on around me. And I just go, I think I'm going to go and chase them. So we sprint up the stairs up to the top of the battlements, which is a fucking hard thing to do when you're sprinting upstairs.
I didn't actually have any problems doing that. So
well, all right, show off.
I'm just saying I didn't have any problems running up those stairs. So
sure. Well, you do it about 10 or 15 times in about an hour. We'll see. But yeah, so we get to the captain as he's dying. Really dramatic. Do some intense medical role play. Like, Paige is throwing stuff at me, like, call upon the light of the Lindarian elves to draw this man's life force back into his body, and we're just trying.
Paige is the best, right?
Oh my god, they're so good. So good. Oh god, it upsets me greatly just how incredible they are as an LP.
Yeah, they really bring the heat in every character they play.
Yeah, right.
So good.
So we're doing this. There's all this fighting going on below us, and my character has the pickpocket trait, which means that I can loot bodies. Of
course you went pickpocket. Like,
of course I did.
Like, you're like, you know how Ian always has got into this habit of always playing emo characters? That, like, this is your new thing now. The trickster.
You mean the evil one?
No, it barely reaches shenanigans on the evil, totem pole, you know?
Yeah. So Paige is doing this really intense medical stuff, trying to save the captain. I'm just going, I'm pickpocketing you to see if there's anything in your pockets. And I try and pickpocket the captain's dead corpse.
Oh, I'm shaking my head right now.
He doesn't have anything, because obviously, why would he? So I go and try and loot the dead orc murderer. Also doesn't have anything. Very upsetting.
So it wasn't an orc, not a human.
Yeah, so the orc climbed the battlements, stabbed the captain in the back, and then promptly got killed. So yeah, that was basically the end of the evening. And what you heard was the funeral songs for the captain.
No, I heard they did a story.
Oh,
did you not?
Did they do did they do their ballad again?
No, they did. It was like the Sumerian.
Sumerian. The Silmarillion, yeah.
Hashtag dyslexic.
No, but those NPCs were phenomenal. They were part of a theatre company in Devon.
Fucking magical.
Yeah.
They sang. They told the story. It was. I was just enthralled. It was just a lovely. I was like, it was like being like a kid in bed listening to your parents tell you a story, doing all the voices. It was like, I loved it. I was all tucked up in there. So thank you. That sounds kind of creepy now I actually say it out loud, but I had a nice time.
No, it was beautiful. Like, I didn't see it on the Friday because I was over. There was an icy drinking area.
It was a different one they did on the Saturday. It wasn't the same one.
Yeah, it was a different one exactly.
Yeah.
So
but like, I don't know how much rehearsal they did, because they were really good. They were really good.
Those NPCs were also lastminute.com NPC sign-ons.
Fuck
like
off.
They did all of their prep in the drive from Devon to Glasgow.
Off. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh.
But anyway, so that happens. That's that sort of serious Summerillion telling, harp playing, and everything is greatly juxtaposed by my drinking area.
You're right. It was the total opposite.
It was really funny, wasn't it? So we had Callum and James was there, Alex was there. We were all just doing like we were doing folk songs, drinking songs,
sea
and
shanties.
just basically having a really nice time. This is when my character started interacting with James's little dwarf.
Yeah.
And
I don't
the way
think he
that
would
we
appreciate you calling him that little dwarf or whatever.
Well, I'll get his name up. So his name was Tunkard, son of Tankard, I think it was.
God, it's a new age under your leadership. It's fantastic.
Tanker, son of Tonka, who was son of Tinker. So, exactly. So James was there playing Tanker, and the way that I decided to interact with him for the first time was to go move out of my seat and pick him up. So that happened. But obviously, James is almost like, he's like almost 5'10", I think. I don't know how tall people are. But he plays into it. Like, he genuinely goes, and then just like, put me down, elf.
You tossed him at one point.
Hey, we don't talk about what an elf does to a dwarf.
I was talking to James about this because I was so impressed, and I said to him at the time, like, "Hey, you did such a great job." He was saying, "Well, I was looking around on the DVD extras, and there was like Dwarf School, which is like one of those those short little promo things they did for Lord of the Rings, like the 5-10 minute ones or whatever." But he said he watched that once, and that's where he got a lot of the mannerisms from. And I was just like, God, that is really great. Like, Anyway, sorry. I'll stop kissing his ass. It's honestly, and he's incredibly handsome and incredibly ripped as well, and he's such a nice person and talented artist. Okay, I'm done. I'm done for the episode now. That's all you get, James.
Cool. So they're all singing sea shanties. I'm messing around with James, like pretending to pick him up. His hammer is, I would say, over 6 foot, like nearly 6 foot tall. Right?
So
it was nearly as tall as I am. And it was huge and and it was obviously LARP safe, but made of stone. And so whenever he used to pick up his hammer and like drop it down on the floor, all of our characters would jump up as if like the whole like ground had reverberated around us. And it was just like really fucking cute and wholesome little RP moments.
Oh, that's so good.
I start having a debate with a guy called Oak, who OC volunteered at Duncarron, and had never done anything like that at Duncarron before. So he, like came in and was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing."
Yeah.
I won the debate. Can't remember what it was about because I got a little bit too drunk.
I'm sure you won.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I won. And and then we went to bed, and that's the end of our little Friday escapades.
Yeah. I woke up. Well, hold on. Are we going to split this into 2 episodes?
Yeah, I think. We might have to do it into 3. We've been talking for an hour.
Okay. I mean, I'm good to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll carry on.
What do you do to close out these days? Then I listened to the Strength of the Empire, Strength of the Var, but we have to do something Lord of the Rings related.
We have to do something. Oh God. Oh God. What do the what's the Rohirrim? You shall not pass unless you subscribe to our Patreon.
Potatoes. I loved how many people were dropping in quotes throughout the entire weekend.
Oh my God, yes. There was even a guy that had LARP safe vegetables.
Vegetables and a cheese, I think, as well. There was a lot going on there, you know.
It was so good. But either way, the vibes in the fort were incredible. We'll stop with the Friday there. And we'll do a new episode. Dum dum dum. So yeah, thanks as always to our little group of Patreons. You guys keep us going, help fund our ridiculous escapades, and just basically keep it going so that we can talk into a microphone and tell you stories of our shenanigans. Anyone that ever interacts with the podcast, messages us, give us a little heads up about, what the podcast means to you, like everything. It means so much. So thank you so much. You guys are wonderful. And in particular, hell yeah. In particular, this week's shout out. Thank you so much to Detty. Hello. Hello. You've been following us since May 2023. Thank you very much. I really like Patreon and how it tells us who's been doing what for the longest. Yeah, it's great.
I had a since kind of stepping away from the podcast, I've had some very nice interaction. So if you're one of those people, thank you very much.
But I think we'll see you in a couple of days, maybe with the Saturday and maybe even the Sunday. Who knows? Who knows at this point?
You tease.
We can keep just chatting for hours. You and I. This is a problem. Hey, Dave.
Yes.
Flee, you fools.